Now, a wing on a car normally means it's fast. And when Volkswagen use the words GT on something, it usually means it's quite sporty. And believe it or not, it's not on a hatchback. It's on this, the ID5 GTX. It's the coupe version of the ID4. Now, it's no secret that EVs are quick, but the biggest thing for me is the design. So I'm going to do a quick 360 on this car and call out its rivals, such as the BMW iX3, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, the Kia EV6, the Tesla Model Y, and the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Any of those look better than this, let me know, because I think this is quite a looker. Now, when it comes to electric cars, again, it doesn't need to suck air in to go faster because there is no turbo, there is no engine. So a lot of the things that are normally open on cars are closed when it comes to EVs. That does make the front end at times look a bit silly on these cars, but I've got to give it to Volkswagen. It definitely looks sleek. And the sleeker it is, the more efficient it is at cutting through the air. Now, there's a saying that I say quite a lot on this channel, and that is fast SUVs are pointless. Now, there's another saying that goes, all good things must come to an end. My grandma used to say that quite a lot. And when it comes to cars, if you're going fast, at some point you're going to have to stamp on the anchors and come to a complete stop. Now, this weighs 2.2 tons. 2.2 tons. And speed and weight don't really go well together. If you want to go fast, you got to lose weight. And if you are heavy, you probably shouldn't be going fast, because when it comes to stopping, or even turning for that matter, that's where things get a bit sketch. Now, luckily, this has got 4Motion as standard. So that's Volkswagen's fancy word for 4-wheel drive. And I'll give it to it. It grips all day long. And in terms of cornering and weight, not that I recommend it, but having 4-wheel drive and a heavy SUV has to go hand in hand, because it does get you out of corners or sticky situations where the car might probably understeer or oversteer had it been a front or rear wheel drive. Now, I'm not saying go out there and test that theory, but it is obvious that this car is heavy. But again, somehow it manages to corner. Now, I'm not saying I'm the best driver in the world, but most people get in this car, this exact car, are going to want to test its potential. And on the road, I've got to be honest, it doesn't feel as scary as it probably should be. And again, that is down to the 4Motion. But test it out at your own demise. Now, when it comes to range, you are quoted 327 miles, but that is downhill, AC off, everything's rosy. Really, you're probably going to be getting around 260 to 280, and that is just using it day to day. In the winter, probably 290 in the summer, because the battery's nice and warm. And talking of warm, this can warm up your house, because you can use the energy that's in the car to actually do some stuff in the house. It's quite weird, but it does it. In terms of power output, we're looking at 335 brake horsepower. I'm not sure why I'm here, because there is no engine, just liquid and lights. Now, when it comes to space, it does what it says on the tin. It's an SUV, so it should be quite airy. However, with this being the coupe version, you can see headspace in the rear isn't the greatest. However, at the front, where I will be sitting, I can't complain. Loads of space, very, very airy. And also, these little armrests here, they look like they've been plucked from the VW ID Buzz. I'm not sure whether they're everyone's cup of tea, but they do the job. An additional bonus is that, as standard on the ID5 GTX, you get the pan roof. No more specking. Cheers. On an SUV costing this much, you don't have an electric boot as standard. So annoying. And you can see you actually do have like the cutouts for it here and up front on the driver's door. But that aside, the boot is what you can expect. It's huge. You can fit loads of bodies in there. But yeah, that is a bit annoying. But what they've done so smartly here is giving you these style seats that are really comfortable and auto massage you. They also look very similar to the seats that I've seen in the GTE, the Golf GTE. Okay, I think I get it now. The GTX to the ID5 is what the GTE is to the VW Golf. Sleek, stylish, very under the radar, but a bit more performance than standard. I think that's what it is. And how they've done that is by adding a few little changes, and these 21-inch alloys are one of them. And for once, for an EV, They don't look silly. I actually quite like these. The diamond cut could be sketchy, don't let the missus park it. And around the rear, we have these 3D lights, which are quite fancy. And you've actually got two modes. You can have it in this mode when it comes to starting up, or you can have it in another mode. And again, this sloping rear end really does it for me. ID5 or ID4? I'm ID5. Now, as pretty and as fancy as this car is, being the top spec when it comes to the ID5, it's quite sad that it hasn't got a few things as standard. Now, most new cars you jump in nowadays will have something called blind spot monitoring, which means you have these little lights that pop up either in the side mirrors or in a fancy area on the dash to tell you that there is a car in your blind spot. This doesn't have that. Again, it's the top spec, and I know what these brands do. They kind of make you have to spec the car up so that they make more money and you get more stuff. However, top spec cars, you shouldn't have to add these things. It should just come as standard along with the boot. It should be an electric boot. Because it's a big car, you're probably going to be using it for big journeys such as trips away or even just loads of shopping. And if you're carrying your skis or whatever, the last thing you want to be doing is dropping them to then open a boot when you could have a virtual tailgate or an electric boot that you can just do off the key. It's the little things that I feel could let this car down. Now, pressing this little mode button at the top here brings us 5 different drive modes: eco, comfort, sport, traction, and individual. And individual's probably where you want to live, because with this mode you can actually customize the dynamic chassis control. That's VW's fancy word for the adaptive suspension. And you can go from comfort to sport all at the push of a button. Now, you can also change how the steering feels, whether you want a weighted, heavier steering wheel or whether you want a light one. And you can also play around with the throttle response. Now, I like quite a punchy throttle response, especially for drives like this. Thank you, Mr. VW. And when you do have the car set up in its softest mode and everything gets nice and subdued, it's a really easy, smooth day-to-day car. You kind of forget about the weight because, again, you're not pushing on. Now, when you do go into sport, everything gets firm, and that, again, is where you could get caught out. But day-to-day, eco on the motorway, it plays around with the air conditioning a tad to give you more range. But when you do put it in sport, as mentioned, there's a bit of traffic in front. Give me 1 minute, I'll show you what I mean. And we are clear. In sport, the throttle becomes nice and responsive. And as mentioned, the 4Motion paired with this healthy amount of horsepower, let's call it that. But GT, is it worthy of those famous letters from Volkswagen? Let me know what you think. So yes, guys, that has been the video on the VW ID5 GTX. If you have found this video helpful, please smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Take care. God bless.